Good morning. This is the sermon for Sunday the 17th of October from the Sutton Park Methodist Circuit. My name's Emily Young and this sermon is based on the reading from Job. I wonder how you picture Job in this reading. Like this figure, isolated, wrapped in his own grief. Or perhaps like this one, surrounded by the love of God. The Once Upon a Time in a Faraway Land book of Job begins with a court scene in heaven. God knows and even boasts that Job is a good and righteous man. God accepts a challenge and allows Satan, the adversary, to test Job. Terrible things happen to Job. He loses his family. All his children die. He loses his wealth and his health. He sits in sackcloth and ashes on a rubbish heap and grieves. His so-called friends try and comfort him. Their logic is that God is just, and therefore if you are good, good things happen to you. If you are bad, then bad things will happen. But Job knows he has done nothing wrong. But the people around him start to speculate whether he has done something or his children did something before they died, because as far as they are concerned, it must be one of the two. But Job knows he's done nothing wrong. Job knows he is righteous and demands that God appears in court to explain what is going on. Why has he been shamed? Why have these terrible things happened to him? Why has he lost everything? How is this just? And as God did with Adam and Eve, Abraham, Hagar and Moses, God comes down from heaven. Rather than looking down on Job from the height of heaven, God has to look Job in the eye and see Job really take notice of Job. There is no escaping Job's suffering. No ignoring Job's pus-filled, boil-covered skin, scraped raw, trying to soothe his itching skin. Perhaps God has to face up to the enormity of the suffering his wager has caused. God sees Job's suffering. God is present. God does not explain or defend what has happened. Perhaps after the flawed logic, the too easy answers of Job's friends, who tried to make his circumstances fit their fixed ideas about how God's justice worked. Perhaps in the face of suffering, silence is best. God avoids the trite answers, attempting to explain the impossible and indefensible. In fact, he doesn't answer at all. Instead, he questions Job. Were you there at creation? Do you understand how the world is ordered? Do you comprehend the wildness, the untamed power of monsters and creation itself? God's questions are rhetorical. There is no time to answer and no need to respond. God, who has come down to earth to meet Job in court, holds before him the whole of the universe, the immensity of creation, the beauty and order of it all. God, the immortal, eternal one, present before time, creator of all that is and will be, doesn't explain or excuse Job's suffering. He is present in it and provides a new perspective. God in this story shows us a paradox. Life is hard. Suffering is real, unjust, and inexplicable. Bad things happen to good people, and the bad go unpunished. And the world is beautiful, precisely ordered so that life can exist and be sustained. It holds within its life plants, art, music, breathtaking buildings, majestic mountains, defiant flowers that grow in rubbish heaps and paving slabs, butterflies and bees along railway lines and motorways. Instinctively, we know this. I think we know that suffering and beauty can't cancel each other out, but that they need to sit side by side. We are grieving, exhausted, and yet we still care for one another. We know that suffering and adversity are changed by a glimpse of heaven. We sing songs of hope at gravesides and bring the most beautiful flowers available to funerals. We know it when we treat our churches as a tiny piece of heaven on earth, when we bring the best we can offer to worship. We know it in the dignity and the celebration of Sunday best, in the love and care of a community that sees each of us as we truly are, as beloved children of God. When we see God at work on our streets and in our homes, when we share a foretaste of the heavenly banquet in bread and wine. In the reading, Job teaches God about suffering, and God teaches Job about beauty.